Hey, what's going on, y'all? This your man James, and this is the I Just Think Different podcast. Once again, I am James, and this is the I Just Think Different podcast. Yes, it is. And today, this is just another episode of the I Just Think Different podcast, and we got a special guest right here, man. This is somebody I've been knowing predominantly all my life, man. Uh you know, saying from elementary to now, man. So and he got and did big things, wrote books, got a book, right?
Yep, got a book
Yeah,
right
got a
now.
book. Is it books or just book?
Well, I'll say this book in particular is just one book, but I'm actually gonna finish part 2 today. That's my deadline. My deadline is to finish this second book today.
Oh, okay. So we gonna call you the books author. You know what I'm saying? So you got books, you got a podcast, you're a father, a husband.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you rolling, man. Got my man Skyelar, you know what I'm saying, right here on the I Just Think Different podcast, and we just go kick it. We don't have no particular topic. We just gonna be talking about the current state of what's going on in our lives right now, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a lot of conflicting wounds out there.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
oh boy. Boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
You ain't lying about that, man.
Not at all, man. So what you think about that, man? We a week out the way from the Capitol storm. And now all of a sudden, you can see people getting charged.
Mm-hmm.
More charges coming. They going back looking at the tape.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, why would you try to charge and run into some type of government official building, not thinking that you not finna reap what you sow off that, man? You definitely going into a situation where they finna just hit you with everything now at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I heard some of the charges. They talking about unlawful entry, trespassing with weapons, and breaking this and breaking that, stealing that. I mean, they ate 20 years for everything, man. They just like, you ain't never get out of jail. You done went into the government
Yeah.
building, dog. We gotta tear you up.
Yeah. It's so let me tell you a funny thing. So as I was taping, so last Wednesday, I'm gonna share a little bit of info about myself. So last January 6th is a day I don't like. My father had passed on January 6th, 2019. And so I don't like January 6th already. And so I was celebrating the day, kind of looking at some pictures, looking at some different things with my father, just kind of celebrating the day a little bit, celebrating his legacy. Take my son to work. Son 17, he's getting ready to go to work. I come back, my phone's going off, buzzing crazy. I'm like, what's going on? I have no idea why my phone is just going crazy. My phone is literally going ape shit. And so I get home because I don't look at my phone while I'm driving. I get home, as soon as I walk in the door, boom, wife hits me. You're not gonna believe what's on the TV. I'm like, what's on the TV, babe? And they're talking about the I guess they had a march earlier, and then they were charging towards the U.S. Capitol. I said, what?
Right.
And so as time progresses, as we all saw what happened on the U.S. Capitol, they entered, they broke windows, and all of the senators and all of the House of Representatives had to take cover simply because breaking and entering, and people were upset. I just couldn't believe it. But then again, when I say I couldn't believe it, that does not mean that I was surprised by what happened. Because if you look through U.S. history, I'm going to just say that y'all know the they that I'm talking about, have always never shown restraint when they did not get their way. And there you
Well,
have it.
you know, history will always show itself, but I think a lot of things in history, um, there's a lot of assume for no current change
Mm.
because a lot of past history is a repeat of the same. So at some point, there has to be a current change. So if we keep thinking that it's the same thing, then you won't see the new thing that's coming. Maybe this is a part of the new thing that's coming and say, you know what? Hey, the heck with it. Just
Mm-hmm.
move forward and get it done. Hey, deal with the consequences later. But you realize all that was done without no thought of a consequence. Even one of the dudes was asked, after the fact, yo, ain't you worried about, being pressed about this? Nah, man, I might, but, it's whatever. Okay, cool. So that's the attitude on it. Now they all
Mm-hmm.
locked up. So what I'm saying is, all right, cool. If you know you're going to be locked up, it's penalty coming, then you could go full blast, full ape out there because you already know what's coming. That's
Mm-hmm.
why you can chill at Nancy desk, feet up, go through mail. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, yo, take stuff, as if there's no cameras in there.
Mm-hmm.
But the crazy part to me was some of the other footage that people had while they was just walking past law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? All right,
Yeah.
cool. So all right, cool. Everybody here just chilling. Single file line type. Come on in the building. Okay. All right, cool. I see photographers in there looking like they having class A photo shoots. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, it
yo,
looked
did
like
somebody they called pops out there, like, yo, y'all come out here and get the, I said exclusive real quick for the New York Times and LA Post and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is
mm-hmm.
crazy.
Yeah, it looked like a class field trip.
It did.
I'm like,
Yeah.
everybody at one point was single file line. I'm like, is there a chaperone? Well, we know who the chaperones were as the reports start to come out, but
Man.
again, I'm I just popped my popcorn. I took my kettle corn. I said, okay, well, looks like I'm about to kick my feet up for a while.
Hey, one thing I heard a lot of is, if that would have been black people, they would have been shot and killed.
Mm,
Uh, yeah, but black people ain't did nothing like that though.
no, no,
You see what I'm saying?
no.
In fact, sometimes black people walk right up to that line and look over it and move their eyes back and forth and be like, you know what? And lean back, be like,
Yep.
nah, we ain't gonna go over there. And other people would just be flying over the line. But I
Yeah.
seen like black people fly over the line over stuff that pertains to them in their area. They'll
Mm-hmm.
fly over the line like you mess with my kids or family. Oh, I'm flying over the line. But when it comes to like actually, nah, we finna go to jail or die type thing, you like,
No,
uh, nah,
no.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen the ramifications of things that we will try to push for and the pushback that comes with it. So, putting black people in a situation like that, you just will never see it because we anticipate what's going to happen if we even if we thought about it. If we were to do something even remotely close to that, there would be it would just be tragic, and we know it would. So I've seen that a lot too. Well, what would happen if? Yeah, well, we know what would happen. We seen what happened all last year when we were just trying to make our voices heard because of the deaths of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor. What happened to Jacob Blake and and countless others. So asking us to go to the U.S. Capitol and storm it and thinking that we were going to actually survive, sure. And I have the Mackinac Bridge I would like to sell you, sir, ma'am. So yeah.
I like to think sometimes, man, that you gotta be willing to sacrifice yourself sometimes for a greater cause, man. So if self-sacrifice is for that cause, likewise, the people that went through the civil rights, and they got beaten, bruised, and a lot of other things happened to them, and whether they knew it or not, they actually was out there because
Mm-hmm.
they knew they didn't want to stand for what they was currently going through. So, hey, at some point, hey, we just gotta be out here. And there was another crew that was like, you know what, forget my Luther King and them, man. Hey, we got our thing going on over here.
That's
You
right.
know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I know they got what they got, but yo, we getting it how we get it too. And both sides are still going back and forth, teetering, but no real thing is getting really soft because everybody's talking over everybody and there's no real
Mm-hmm.
solid foundation of togetherness, unity. Like, dog,
Mm-hmm.
we all on one accord here. And obviously, it's always gonna be some split people in the situation. If it's 1,000
Mm-hmm.
people in a room, you expect 800 of them to roll with you, or you expect 1,000 of them to roll with you. Maybe even 500. Might be
Mm-hmm.
200. You know what I'm saying? So are you
Mm-hmm.
taking what you gonna get, or are you expecting the whole thing?
Yeah.
Because of what the situation is. So with that being said, like if you are running into and they actually killing black people live on TV in other countries and other people are seeing this, I believe other people would attack.
Mm-hmm.
They be like, wait a minute, nah, that's what they doing now over there? Nah, like man, they killed 2,100 black people live on TV, and they like, yo, this is really the DC massacre. They killed, slayed all them black people live, and then all the stuff that black people had been previously been talking about. Now
Mm-hmm.
everybody really with the bug eyes, like, oh no, they were really right. Like they
Yeah.
just played them all. All right, so what do you think the aftermath of that is? You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So they ain't gonna do nothing like that. Likewise, kill any other race for that matter live on TV like that. And the
Yeah.
masses like that. Now, I may be some other civilian that may do that, but not no law enforcement. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I can't see that at all. Nah, I couldn't even see the military stepping in and be like, nah, chill out. You see what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
not happening. Because that shows, you killing American people. I mean, some countries, you know, you can't you ain't got no internet. You
Mm-hmm.
can only have one kid.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? It is a
It's a
big
fact.
privilege to be in this country. However, um, to to people in this country, man, to be born and raised in this country, and to have somebody else come over to this country and get more out of this country than you makes you feel some type of way. You see what I'm saying? It's like if you
Yeah.
if your
Yeah.
if your step kid is getting more love than your kid. If the step anything is getting more love, you feel the way.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? If the
Oh
adopted
yeah.
is getting more love, you feel the way. If I'm not getting the original love for my source, then what is going on? Like it seems like everybody else is getting more love. Or looking at it from that lens, you might be looking at it wrong. You might be looking at it because your expectation is expecting more than what's actually given to you. And what's given to you is actually good, but you're just looking for a larger portion of it.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Not being
Right.
humble enough to accept what's actually being given to you.
Right. And it's funny you say that because that's exactly what I feel that at times um, white people feel. They feel intimidated as if they're becoming the extinct. They're like themselves are becoming extinct, so they feel as if, oh well, if black people, people of color, Hispanics or whoever come and take over our land, then we'll feel like the minority now, and we don't want that. And so I think the comfort level of what happened last Wednesday, it spoke volumes. And I just sat there and I didn't shake my head at the action itself because again, if anybody has seen what has happened in the past 4 years, you just knew when the gavel came down that this was over for him happened, you kind of felt that that was going to occur. My disgust was how easy it was for them to gain all of this access. I was reading reports today from the Associated Press that spoke on how many officers were arrested and due to the insurrection that took place. Things that we as Black people and people of color have spoke on numerous of times. And just sitting there and just seeing officers, law enforcement. I don't know how the connections with the Secret Service or the FBI was with people that just was allowed into the building. That's the egregious part for me is seeing that it was just so easy for them to get in. And I shared this on my podcast, and people don't understand how the U.S. Capitol building outside of the Pentagon and maybe the White House may be the most important landmark building, not just in this country, but maybe across the world. You can't just break into the U.S. Capitol without someone saying, well, here's the keys. I'm going to let you in. You know, that's just like if you're in India, you're trying to break into the Taj Mahal. You're not just breaking into the Taj Mahal. You're not just breaking into these landmark buildings. And I took that like, really? Oh. And, these are where, laws are made here. Legislation takes place here. The meetings when it concerns just normal living. Your tax dollars are being discussed in that building. And they were still allowed to get in there and to disrupt. And you had the guy, I can't remember his name. I know it was Richard something. And he kicked his feet up in Nancy Pelosi's office. And he held up documents. And we don't know what those documents pertain. But that's a security breach. With so many different people in this country. I just looked at that like, wow, okay, well. Okay. Y'all can have this, America.
Yeah, man. And he was ready for it. That's what I'm saying. They spoke to him after the fact, and he was like, you know what? No, I ain't really pressed. I ain't really pressed about it. Basically, I'm paraphrasing, but basically, he wasn't really concerned about consequences coming after that. And now, what I'm saying, he's arrested and already facing up 10 years just off that charge. I mean, there's plenty more of the charges coming. So these people probably never get out. But like I said, if I've already given you a manuscript to follow and already then handled everything already, like this is just to play out for the TV, but you already know where you're going, bro. So
exactly,
we done already gave you your care package and told you press the button and you want to go play. So all right, so here's the results from that. You know what I mean? There's no way in the world that could happen without just knowledge, prior knowledge. And
absolutely.
I've seen different things of people specifically being dressed up in MAGA gear to specifically go up there and tear up ruckus. So it's a whole bunch of different stuff that's going on, man. It was pipe bombs around the city that they saying, oh, they don't know why it was going off. But I heard, if things didn't go the right way, then it would have been a situation. So who knows?
Yeah.
But I do know that this stuff was found around town. So obviously, all right, so check it out. If I got a pocket full of candy all the time, and I'm always hanging around schoolyards, hanging out behind trees, looking close to the school, dropping candy on the playground, laughing and giggling at kids. I got pictures on my phone of kids on the merry-go-round and on the swing sets. I mean, what you thinking? You feel? You think I'm a candy man? Am I trying to snatch up kids or something? And none of this happened. I never went towards any of these kids, but some reason you find a bunch of candy on me and just me all the time around the playground. And I'm like, well, I was never going to do anything to these kids, and I never was going to do anything to the kids, but that evidence of me being around there lose. So pipe bombs around the city, you see them. Why else would you have any type of bomb around the city that has a detonation.
Yeah.
So bombs just don't show up without being intended to go off.
And not only that, you take it a step further. So they had buses. They already had buses organized to go to the U.S. Capitol
You feel me?
on that day. So look at the preparation that has to go into this massacre. You've had buses, you had Facebook groups, you've had y'all's president, not mine, declare on December 19th that we were going to go to war for the sake of his democracy. And I'm paraphrasing there. So this was known. You don't just
Yeah.
miraculously place bombs. You don't just bring a gallows, because I saw that too, which I could not believe. They had an actual live gallows there. These things don't just happen at the spur of the moment. And I can understand how people say, well, I mean, how could you not have known? Well, yeah, of course, because I'm sure hotels were booked in Washington, D.C. I'm sure Airbnbs were filled up in Washington, D.C. Now, I don't know what the the laws are because of COVID restrictions. I don't know what's being said there, but I mean, things were properly placed. I don't,
Definitely properly placed.
but I don't think they thought it was going to get out of hand as it did, which I can understand your average conspiracy theory that said that things like this were planned, because again, the preparation that it even took to even get to that point. I mean, you can look at it that way, but nevertheless, no matter how much planning went into place, that does not mean that this is not egregious, that it's not a black eye on the fabric of what this country is supposed to be, which that's something else that we spoke on our podcast when we talked about America and how America actually is versus the projection of America and what
Oh,
people perceive it to be. Um,
yeah.
I I don't know, man. That was a wild day, man. I've
It
never seen
was.
anything like that.
But you spoke about the different Americas and what people perceive, man. I believe truly the only America you get is looking in the mirror and being truthful with it. And if you false with it, then you false to the world. And a lot
That's
of us
right.
are false to the world because we live some life that we're trying to upkeep when we can't even keep up with our own personal life, because a lot of us don't even know what we want.
Mm,
And you think you want a lot of things, and then when you achieve those things and you get those things, they really amount to anything.
that's
It was
right.
just the thought of a fulfilled moment. Or again, maybe you're looking at too much instead of just doing what's necessary.
That's right.
So we go to work because you get paid, but you got to do work in order for society and culture to move forward. So
Mm-hmm.
whether you get paid or not, that don't take away from work being done. So you
Mm-hmm.
always got to do the work. You always got to put the work in. So as long as you always putting the work in, the financial part of it will always follow,
Mm-hmm.
because you're being faithful and you being loyal to what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
When you try to take things into your own hands in your own manner, which a lot of us do, everybody has a PhD when it comes to politics and when it comes to the medical field.
Mm-hmm.
No, and nobody went to school and researched anything. We just all off the top of our dome can just boom tell you everything, because you can read a couple news clips, see a couple posts, and be like, "Ha, I got it. Let me go tell this to a person." But I'll tell
Mm-hmm.
you, most of us been through school. So in school, I'm sure you've probably had a homework assignment. And that means that teacher was telling you something in class and he wanted you to take that back and do some research on it. Come on back the next day and we go talk about it. So in that manner is when somebody is telling you something, you take that with a grain of salt and go do your own
Mm-hmm.
research anyway. And now you could come back and say, you know what, my man, yeah, you part of that is right, but here's the other
Mm-hmm.
end of it. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I don't have to give you full detail. Let's say you've had uh uh been involved in various different acts, you know, and your spouse asks you about them. Do you want to know the full detail about all the acts, or you just want to know the number of the acts? You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Now, those are two different things. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But the root of it is just how many.
Mm-hmm.
You wanting to know the details, you digging in deeper. So sometimes we want to dig in deeper by filling a void that we feel that we have rather than accepting the answer that was already given to you,
Mm-hmm.
which was whatever number was given. That's just what it is. So now you want
Exactly.
to individually ask about each number. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
once you get that information, what does that do for you? You see what I'm saying? So, okay.
Exactly.
So if you're not moving your direct community forward or your family forward in a positive manner, and you're not doing for the people in your community, which is your direct neighbor or your direct family member or the person that is directly closest to you, and you not moving you and them forward in a positive manner, you tripping and you doing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us are doing wrong because we all about me. I gotta
Yes.
do me. I gotta get mine. I gotta get my bag. And if I got information, you gotta pay for that. But wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't that education? Education is something you pay for, but knowledge you don't. See, they
Mm-hmm.
have an educational system which is paid by some source. Okay, it's getting some source of funding, but knowledge you go find and research on your own and you get really didn't cost you anything but time, and time is timeless. It's priceless
Mm-hmm.
time. So how can you know, say that that's a bad thing? So basically, I need to get a financial gain. And a financial gain you've missed your faithful part. Because when you putting that work in, God take care of your financial needs. Again.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess a lot of people are just not that faithful as they think they
Mm-hmm.
really are. And when they face with certain situations, they're pressed. God presses them and they fold because their foundation isn't standing on anything
Mm-hmm.
other than some social gain, which is most people's gain right now because we got to be on the hottest, newest things, which is a fad. Fads have always been around. We've always been.
Mm-hmm.
But what are you leading? See, a lot of people want to lead, but never really lead.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people want to be the boss, but don't know how to be a boss.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people trying to be bosses and miss being the owner. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's you can be a boss, but not be an owner. You need ownership and all of those things that you have. Once you reach ownership and you are the owner, guess what? Then that means it's people under you, which means you're a leader. They're following you. They want to work for you. They're working under you. So what establishment have you established that says, you know what? This is a good situation. Come over here and work here and we go change the world.
Mm-hmm.
Or just come get a paycheck
Mm-hmm.
and pay some insurance and take a couple of vacation days. But if you miss any days, you're not going to get paid. And maybe we might throw you a bonus or profit sharing or so, or something like that.
Yeah.
But again, if you're not working for somebody, then somebody working for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it goes. So if that's true, so that means if we still working and we got to work, so that means why not be or put the most positive energy forward? Why is it always the micromanager? Why it always, I don't like your way is messed up, dog, and arguing instead of saying, you know what, we finna roll with it that man's way. And while we rolling with it that man's way, get your way together.
Mm-hmm.
Because when his way fail, your way up. And then the next man, you get your stuff together because your way up after his fail. All
Yep.
right. Instead of saying, you know what, man, well, if we would have did it my way, well, let's find out. Because each one of our ways is going to take us a certain place where we can learn collectively to say what does work and what don't work. We got to find that
Right.
out on our own by trial and error. And if you're not willing to be trial and error, then what you finna fly jumping straight out the window?
Mm-hmm.
You just grew your wings out of thin air. You in prep form. I mean, even a caterpillar got a weight, dog.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right.
So
It's fun. I'm glad you said that. Teamwork is one of those concepts that I think is slowly becoming a foreign thing, especially in the line of business. I've seen so many people, just with me being an author, for instance, I I've gotten to conversations with different people about the process of being an author and just the mindset of support. And this is not to cast shade on any other author or anybody for this instance, but one of the things that I've dealt with being an author, and we could talk about the boss mentality, is the thing about me is I've always been a support system for everybody. Rather it was the corner man selling CDs on the corner. Everybody has to hustle somewhere. Everyone has to start from somewhere. And so I was always the one that was, buying people products. If somebody did a show and they needed a CD to be sold, I was always the one. Hey, I got you. I'm gonna buy a couple copies, and not just do that, but I'll also share on social media. Hey, look out for this person. This person has an album coming out, or a line of business coming out, so on and so forth. And the team concept, I think sometimes in our own community, is what can I gain out of helping you? And I don't have that mentality because in order for all of us to get to a certain point in our community where we can all say this is ours, we have to understand different concepts in different ways for someone to become an entrepreneur. For instance, my wife, she's a caterer. She owns her own catering business, and it's hers. And the one thing that we've done for her is to make sure that she continuously markets herself and let people know that it's not just food we're giving you. This is an experience that we're giving you. She pours her heart and her soul into what she cooks. Same with me as an author. My book, I pour my heart and my soul into my book, and I'm sure others have as well. But I can praise my brother or my sister who has, like, let's say, obviously I'm bald, so hair is not my forte. But if I know a friend of mine who has a hair care line where she wants to expand on her business acumen, I'm gonna do what I can to help her out. I'm gonna share this page on social media. I'm going to make sure that others, get what they can get out of your business, and I'm gonna help you. Whatever I can do to help. I don't have time to be thinking about, well, if I help you, what do I get out of it? Like, that's not the mentality that we need to have as a community. And yeah, it may be different concepts that you may not even care for, but that doesn't mean that you don't help that brother or that sister out. And I think that that's the thing that we have to get out of is, what am I gaining? Gamesmanship, or feeling like I have to outdo you because we may be in the same field. Like we're both podcasters. I'm gonna make sure I look out for you and share your podcast. And you may have other people that be like, I'm not sharing this podcast. It's not my podcast. Like, that's not the mentality. We're all a team.
yeah,
Every team has different. A point guard can't be a center. It's a reason why if you throw it down low, it's a reason why that center is there because they have their back to the basket and they're 7 feet tall versus the point guard that's running the team. That's setting the plays. Everybody has to play their part, and I will be happy if one day we can all get to that point of not always being in competition with one another. And I think that is in our community really needs to be addressed more. Is what can I do to help you instead of I'm gonna help you, but that after the but. So
what do you think it takes for people to get to that mentality of, you know what, dog, I'm gonna just go ahead and help you with whatever you need? Because truth be told, man, it's a lot of other races of people that's been supporting me and helped out without me even saying anything. You know, people could see me with just a hat on and inquire and pull up information
Mhm.
and subscribe and like and tell me about it on the next meetup. You know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
like, oh, okay, great. Like I didn't even say anything or give you any spill. Like you just looked and want to go find out for yourself and actually like what you found out, which
Mhm.
is cool. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Versus, you know what? Oh, whatever that is, oh, that's whatever had that say. That's cool, and keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
all right, great.
Yeah.
So I acknowledge it. I acknowledge you got something going on. I don't know whose it is, what it is,
Mhm.
but hey, it's a wording on a hat. Like I gave you that piece that you got it because I could have not said anything and walked straight past you.
Yeah.
Not saying nothing at all, right? So at least you got something out of it. You know what I'm saying? And that's where you hit them with a business card. Boom, take this, buddy.
Yep.
Yeah, keep them on deck. But no, for real though, man. Really, it just comes down to humbling yourself and
Mhm.
letting go of your ego
Absolutely.
and allowing others to flourish and to know that togetherness is a teamship. There is no I in team, of course, we know that, but there is an I in us.
Mm. That's right. That's
It's a
right.
me and we, you know.
Mhm.
So we, us, you and I, you know what I'm saying, team together, unity, we can do it together. And you know, all that is taught at home. Unfortunately, there's a lot of broken homes. So how am I supposed to learn something like that to go out here in the world to when I meet somebody like you, I know how to act. Okay,
Mhm.
cool. So all right. So now people like, okay, but I can see your intentions was at a certain level. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of doubt because people really can't read energy, right?
Mhm.
So you ain't gotta know it all, but your energy at least gotta be in the right spot.
Right.
You can't have rob me energy written all over me. You hanging out with me. I'm taking you around millionaires. Now you seek it as a come up to rob everybody in the building. Like
Mhm.
now you looking at me like, hey man, you knew he was a. I didn't know. I just met him. Oh, you bringing somebody you just met around me? Like, well, people do that all the time, right? Like,
Right.
all of a sudden, it's a problem. Be like, what about my man I just brought last week? Yeah, I was cool with him. So
Mhm.
the problem is people don't have an issue until it's an issue.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, exactly. And I think that part right there, I don't have to be in competition all the time. Like I can I'll give you an example. It's just like when you go to like when you do something like you go to a show and somebody may acknowledge you in the crowd and you like, hey, all right, cool. I'm glad to be here. And then they're like, well, I need you I need you to say a word. And you're like, I just came to watch, man. I don't want to step on anyone's toe. No, no, we just want you to say a few words. And you're like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll say a few words. Sometimes I just want to just relax and just celebrate as opposed to always having to get up and say something. I can, I always tell people I can love you from afar. Like I don't just have to send, like if you're going through something, I don't just have to send the prayer emojis and call you up and be in your business for 20 minutes, ask you what's wrong. I could just send up the prayer emojis and say, hey, I love you and I got your back. And I can just silently pray for you. I don't always need to be validated. And I think sometimes when we are in these spaces of in our community, we always have to either A, feel like it's a competitive sport, or B, have to feel validated because I gave you acknowledgement. It shouldn't be like that. All I have to say is, hey, brother, sister, I love you. And what can I do to support you? Or what can I do to love on you? Or what do you need from me? And just spread the love there. I don't, I'm grateful that God has given me the spirit of humility where I don't need to be validated and I don't need to feel like I need to do this because of this. I just don't have that mentality, and I never have, and I never will. That's just not in my nature. I don't do that.
that key
I
phrase that you stuck in there was God gave me and
Mhm.
love. So a lot of people don't. really understand God's love or understand love, but love is God.
That's right.
So if I'm looking at love from a lens of my family structure or what I was told or shown in my household, and my household was corruptive and destructive, then my vision of love ain't necessarily yours.
Mm-hmm.
Not realizing that I was able to make that statement that I'm alive. That's love too. So you've missed the whole thing looking at it from the wrong lens because you're looking personally into your life instead of realizing you have life.
Mm-hmm.
So once you just understand that you got life and yet those situations are happening and what they doing is happening, but how can I make it better then? How can I stop my mom from getting abused? I mean, we don't know that young, but how can I stop that from happening? You know, how can I set up different things in the future? How can I prevent trauma like that? Or is it really trauma that all that stuff is happening if everything already happens?
Mm-hmm.
Everything happens all the time. There's no new thing out here that's happening. You know, just repeat emotional bends and flexes and what pertains to you, what affects you,
Mm-hmm.
like disrespect, for instance. Nobody knows what that really is until you told about it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
a lot of people don't speak on it until it's too late. Like saying the wrong word, might get you knocked out. However, knowing that
Yeah.
you're saying the wrong word, you should have known that it's a possibility that that could happen. Also, furthermore into that, you should be thinking before you speak. So that type of language should never have came out of your mouth because
Mm-hmm.
now you wasn't doing love because the true love is really respecting and honoring the people around me to know that if I say something like that, it's going to affect everyone. So let me not put the mood on people like that and let me just remain cool. Sort of like
Mm-hmm.
putting a mask on. I don't like wearing a mask. It's not a comfortable thing to do. But you know what? If it gives this person mind clarity because they see me with one, then I'll wear one.
Mm-hmm.
Because personally, again, I don't like them. So my point in all that is
Mm-hmm.
do things for you doing, I'm doing for others. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
concerning myself about myself. God got me and I'm taking care of them because I don't know if one of them is going to be moving for him to move through me to get to me to show me
Mm-hmm.
what I need to be doing. So why would I miss my own blessing by hindering myself by not allowing the best energy to be moved forward?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
that's hard to explain to somebody when you all you see is drama and trauma. But again, man, we raised in Flint, Michigan. It's not like we ain't seen no trauma and drama, dog. You know what I'm saying? We've been like all my life, dog. Again, I grew up apparently in one of the worst neighborhoods in Flint, but from my view, didn't seem like that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
I don't mean I didn't see uh uh buildings burn up. That mean I didn't see car accidents and people getting shot and shot at. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like so, I mean, we see and come into all these things by way shouldn't be natural for nobody to see.
Mm-hmm.
That shouldn't be a lifestyle for somebody to see and get involved with. But I mean, did it make me a better person because I witnessed a few uh bad situations? Because if the world go happen, that means I can't escape myself in those situations. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I could have been in or in a car accident or or a train crash or something. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Tragedy can happen anywhere, but it seems that is more heightened in the neighborhoods that we come from.
Boy, Flint, Michigan, man. Where do I start? I love my city. Um, with all my heart, I really do. No, I'm no longer there. Been down here in Charlotte, North Carolina for a little bit over 5 years now, 5.5 years to be exact. Flint, Michigan. I was raised over by Avenue and Genesee Street. That's where my grandmother stayed. For those who are familiar with Avenue A, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that is a very, very rough neighborhood to grow up in. Um, my brothers, they grew up off of Edwin and um, Martin Luther King. So they literally like we were the second house off of the street. So if you turn it on to Edwin, it would have been to your left, and you can see Bunch Elementary right there. That's where my brothers was raised. Um, Me and my parents, unfortunately, they divorced when I was younger, when I was 5, 6 years old. So I kind of moved around, but my base, my stumping ground was always Avenue A in Genesee. And yes, the area was rough. Um, I seen all kinds of stuff. I seen literal crackheads lurking in the neighborhood. I saw prostitution. I saw people get shot. My grandfather, God rest his soul, he was shot on his own porch, shot in the head. He survived, God, thank God, but he survived. So I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot, but I will credit my my grandmother in specifics because she shielded me from a lot of that danger. When my mother would drop me off and she went to work, and when my father would same thing, and so Flint is a very, very special place. And unfortunately, us growing up, we've seen the decay, even though it was already kind of in decay when we were younger. We've seen what happened with Flint, and it's trying its best to rebuild. But of course, with the Flint water crisis and everything that happened, that's the reason why we actually moved down to Charlotte, North Carolina, was because of what happened with the water. We were there through the early stages, before it went worldwide. And I'll tell a quick story about that. So my daughters were one day they were taking a bath together. They're 12, and my youngest is about to be 9 in next month on February 6th. But at that time they were taking bath together. They were younger. And this was right after they had switched the water from Detroit, that's where our water source came from, to the Flint water. They were taking a shower. My daughters are light skinned, so my youngest is light skinned. My middle daughter, she's my complexion, if y'all can see. And they both had rashes once they came out of the shower. And this happened on multiple occasions. And we didn't know exactly what it was. And we were like, okay. So my wife got very upset because my youngest daughter really, really had rashes really, really bad. They were very visible. At the same time, my cousin, well, it was my wife's cousin, but my cousin also, at the same time, I think it might have been later on that week. I was getting water out of the sink. The water was brown. Like, what is this? So she called and she was like, hey, is your water brown? Now, mind you, she stays on the other side of town. She stays over there by Atherton East. So she stays over there off of Eldon Baker and Door Highway.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, my water's brown. Wow, what's up? She was like, well, my water's brown too. And I asked her, I said, are y'all experiencing a water main break? She said, no. Are y'all? I said, no. She said, okay, I'll be over there in 10 minutes. So she comes to the house and she has a jug full of brown water. I have a jug. It's a half-liter jug. I have a half-liter jug full of brown water. And we looked at each other and we said, this is not good. And again, this was before they really started to cover the the water being bad, long before. And so we were like, okay, obviously something is wrong. And we ended up going down to City Hall to talk about it. Of course, they had no answers. They didn't know anything that was going on. We knew. We knew what was really going on. So fast forward to 2014. We at this point, and this was before it became a thing. We decided in our house that we were going to boil our water. We were going to buy bottled water. We were already going to Walmart and Sam's Club, already getting purified water because we were not going to go and use the water that we already felt like was no good. And so at that time, it got really bad with our daughter's rashes, and we ended up, going to the hospital. Again, no one had an answer, and so all of a sudden, it started to pick up steam a little bit. Disgruntled residents in Flint having these issues with their water, and so we were devastated because we had just bought this house. By the way, we had moved into our house at the end of 2012, and we were already kind of sick and tired of Flint, and we wanted a better life for our children, and wanted a better life for our son in particular, who was getting ready to move into middle school stage. And with the school shutting down, we didn't know where he was going to go to school, and so we were already disgruntled. We were miserable, and then now you got the water situation. It was a lot going on. Our consumers bill was just ridiculous, and we're like, okay, it's time to move on. And God was telling us it's time for y'all to move on. So we came down here to Charlotte off of the behest of my brother. My middle brother was the one that actually told us, like, hey, why don't you guys check out Charlotte? And we're like, Charlotte? Okay. Well, I don't know anybody down there, but sure, we'll check it out. So me, her, and my sister-in-law, my wife's youngest sister, we came down here. We took a vacation. And it just so happened that um, her boyfriend, who is now her fiance, lived in a town nearby. So they were actually going to be meeting for the first time. So this was quite the experience coming down to Charlotte.
Yeah.
We fasted. We actually went to church. We fasted. Um, and it's ironic that the word that was actually spoken over to us was actually the word that told us, you guys are going to sell y'all home and y'all are going to move out of Flint, Michigan.
Mm.
So we did. We came back. This was in 2014. We came back. We talked to our realtor. We said, hey, I know we just bought this house, but we're going to put this house on the market. We're going to move. We're going to get out of here. And that's exactly what we did. The next year, 2015, we were gone.
Mm.
So.
You said something interesting in there, man. You said when you went down to North Carolina, you did something that was very unique. You said you fasted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was more than one person fasting, so it wasn't just you. So that was a team thing. So again, strength in numbers.
That's
Again, when
right.
things in numbers under God, He'll show up
Mm-hmm.
with the belief that He's going to show up. Obviously, y'all believe because y'all was out here fasting. Y'all wouldn't just like, you know what? I think I'm gonna do like just not eat for like 3 days, and you know, let's see what happens. Nah, like
Mm-hmm.
I was like, nah, we going fast and we finna get into this word. And he drew out of that. And he
Yeah.
didn't show you nothing wrong. He showed himself like like he said he would. And so now you see how God moves as well. And
Mm-hmm.
now since you in North Carolina, have you experienced any difficulties in North Carolina?
Woo-hoo. Yes. The North Carolina difficulties were very, very high. When we moved, um, we just took our belongings and left. We cleaned the house, top to bottom, and our house actually was still on the market technically when we moved. So we just had faith in God to say, you know what, we're gonna go ahead and just move. And when we got down here, James, let me tell you, we really didn't have too much in our pockets. But I'm gonna tell you how great God is. Let me speak on that for a minute. So
Right? Run with it.
so this is legit. This is no cap, like the kids say. Uh, we legit were finding money in our pockets. Like we were fine. We had gift cards. We had money because we really didn't have anything. We just took our belongings and we moved. Because again, our house, we didn't sell our house yet. Dude, I transferred my job down here, so that at least helped. But I didn't start that job for like a week. So we, um, by the grace of God, man, we was able to get our utilities cut on. We was able to put our deposit down in an apartment that we were staying at, where we no longer stay. Thank God. That's a whole nother story. But we were, I don't want to say broke because I don't want to put that mentality out there because I do believe being broke is a mentality. But we didn't really have anything as far as any any monetary, financial, anything.
Yeah.
But our motto since we moved down here was God kept us. And man, for the first maybe year and a half, we struggled. Now eventually we ended up getting our house sold and we ended up reaping some of the money from that. But I mean, to be honest with you, it really wasn't too much of anything. I'm grateful for what we did get, but it wasn't anything to jump for joy over. But we were very, very fortunate that God really did keep us, and I mean, and it wasn't just the financial strain. I mean, it was a strain on our marriage. You know, me and my wife, and we got to a point where we didn't know if we were going to make it or not. And again, God continued to keep us, and so what we ended up doing, God actually started moving some things around. She started her catering business up there in Flint, and we were doing bake sales for her to kick off her catering business. And she had to pretty much start over once we moved down here, and an opportunity moved in the church that we were attending, and we weren't really with this church for even a year. And an opportunity moved for her to cater for the church that we were attending. And, this is one of the biggest churches down here, so we were blessed in that. And then at the same time frame that we moved down here, which was 2016, I God moved so much that I was actually able to release my book being down here, which I mean to this day, quite honestly, is one of the greatest moments of my life being able to finally release the book. And it released on September 8th, 2016, all in the midst of all of the strain that we had moving down here. And we were still learning the city. We were still learning the ways of the city, still learning even our kids' schools. We were still learning about that. But our experience coming down here was not fun. I mean, it was so bad, James. We even contemplated whether we were even going to move back to Flint or not. That's how bad it was, and we were dead set on not doing that. But that's how that's how bad it was. But he continued to move. He continued to pour out his grace and his mercy, and we were able to become homeowners. Shortly thereafter, moving down here, we moved down here in 2015. We became homeowners in 2018. And sometimes it takes people years to become homeowners. And down here in Charlotte, in particular, there's a house shortage because so many residents per month is moving down here. I think they said the numbers like 3,000 residents a month is moving down here. And so we were fortunate to get into our home when we did, and we actually got it for a very sweet deal. And the neighborhood is great. The kids love the house. We love the house. And man, when I tell you, I mean, I just have so many different testimonies about our experience moving from Flint to Charlotte. I mean, man, me and my wife talk about it all the time, man. It's just been a great experience for us. And would we ever move back to Flint? No. I mean, Jesus would literally have to come down and sit next to me and say, "Hey, you're moving back to Flint." But it is not to say anything bad about my experiences growing up here. I was in Flint 32 years of my life. And, If it wasn't for Flint, honestly, I don't know. I don't know the man that I would be if it really wasn't for Flint, because it taught me living, being born and raised in Flint taught me so much about survival, and the kill to be killed mentality is real.
Man, really real. And God is really real too, man, because you see
Absolutely.
on several occasions on how he's lifted you and had his hand on you and got you and your family through. So it wasn't just a you thing. So to,
Yes.
someone that might not believe in God, you are another testimony that God is real, not because what you were doing in your circumstances and because you got up to go to work every day and because you were sitting down meditating and you got your chakras on, you willed the earth to do you something. Nah, it was God that did that. Straight up. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, and I know, cause like I said, money just be popping up out of nowhere. You just go to the mailbox and it be checks in there. You'd be like, I had no idea where these was coming from. On top of
Yeah.
all the nonsense that's still coming too. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Another $240 bill that's in the mailbox too, along with a $500 check from XYZ. Like, whoa, okay, cool. Well, we can use this. This could go good right now, but where's this coming from? You know what I'm saying? And next thing you know, like you ain't missed no meals. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? You got a little personal conflict, but I mean, compared to the overall thing, nah, you know what I'm saying? And see, a lot of people run from that personal conflict because it messes with your mental health. They be like,
Mm-hmm.
man, shoot, I'd rather just do this solo. For,
Mm-hmm.
for what? Like, again, it's better in strength numbers, man. But, you know, it's all about your limit, your tilt bar. Everybody got a tilt bar, but, how far is your tilt bar? But see, when you get married before God, He gives you a no tilt bar. The only tilt bar there is adultery. You could be out with
Mm-hmm.
that, but outside of that, you know what I'm saying? You gotta sit here and figure what God wants you to do, man, is if y'all have an issue, bring that thing on to me and holler at me
Mm-hmm.
and be humble and be open when you come to me. Be real with it. And I'll show you. But you come in, hey man, hey, let's go holler at God real quick, man. Let's go holler at God real quick. And yeah, man, God, thank you, man. Thank you. Mockery and playing around and doing all right. You go get those results. You feel
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
get those results. But when you go in really like, nah, dog, I'm really broken and I'm hurting. Like I really need some answers. Like I
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know. We really don't know. Like, guys, you gotta do something. And he like, okay, boom, show up, and we'll get you all the time, man. So
Every single time.
I'm a clear, definite, firm believer, man. But I also feel like my faith has to be 3 times as much as anyone that I've ever seen faith. You know what I'm saying? I feel like my
Mm-hmm.
faith have to be Superman. Maybe that's my own head, but and just in the things that I see, it just feels like I have to believe so much more greater than what's around. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
of the weights that I see. You know what I'm saying? And God could just be telling me straight up, no, I want you to lean into me 100%. Period. When I say 100%, that means 100% all
Mm-hmm.
the way into me and fall back and watch how I hold you down. I'm like, oh, all right. But again, man still trying to do man things. And you fail every time trying to conform to this world. And we don't realize that. And we still try to make up excuses daily because we are unable to tell the truth to ourselves, which is that reflection in the mirror that we see, and we're false to the world. And when you are false to the world, you get false results.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those results look like they are wins, actually. And another thing we got to stop doing is saying a loss. There's no such thing as a loss, man. It's just a learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
The wrong L, the right L, wrong turn, because It's all about how you learn and how you look at things. Because what is a loss really? I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
ain't getting that back. A failure in a learning experience is okay. I see where I went wrong. Let me try to do it again. And you could do
Mm-hmm.
it right 1,000 times, the next 1,000 times, and still not come up with the result that you thought you was supposed to receive. But the point is that you kept trying and the effort was there, and you will be blessed for that because you didn't give up on, what you thought or what you believed in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be rewarded to you. Sometimes, and what you're fighting for, you won't see in your lifetime. That's been shown. So a lot of times we got to be putting work in for the people that's coming from behind, not people we can physically see. And
Mm-hmm.
see, we're so worried about doing for the future and tomorrow that we somehow got blind of the 24 hours we got today.
Mm-hmm. That is a fact. That is a fact.
You see what I'm saying? So
Oh yeah.
it's all how we manage and look at time,
Mm-hmm.
because it seems like the most valuable thing you got, but the most valuable thing you got to me is a relationship with God that can produce more time. Power.
Absolutely, without question. Well, that's the thing that we pride ourselves on when it comes to our faith. Me and my wife is we really try to take time out to make sure that we're growing and that we're using that time to really have to win continuously. And what I mean by that is, like you spoke on, not losing. It reminds me of and God rest Kobe's soul. I think about mama mentality all the time, and the only way that you can perfect a jump shot is if you continuously work on your jump shot. And if you watch film and if you take heed to what the coach tells you to work on, you're going to do everything you can to work on it. And if you miss a shot, your mentality is, okay, I'm going to make the next one, or I'm going to shoot my way out of it until I make it. you know,
Yeah.
so you're absolutely right. You have to always have a mentality of rather it's not a loss as it is learning. You know, um, life is all about learning. Life is all about learning. You're gonna always learn something, no matter how long you're granted on this earth. I learn different stuff every day, whether it's through my wife, whether it's through my children, mainly through my children. But I learn stuff every single day. And I don't ever want to go through a day where I'm not experiencing something that I can learn from and build upon. Um, and that's also very important too. Is you can learn something and then 10 minutes later you'll forget what you learned. But if you take what you learn and you actually build for what you learn for within and put it out there externally, then you'll be able to see the world in such a different lens. You know, I like that's why I go back every once in a while and I'll watch not even a basketball player, but I'll go and watch Kobe footage, or I'll go watch Jordan footage, or I'll go watch my dad's favorite football player was Jim Brown. That was his guy. And so my dad used to make me watch Jim Brown footage all the time. And the reason why he would have me watch footage is he'll say, well, look at his footwork. Look at his footwork from the year prior to his footwork now. Can't you tell the difference? And I'll be like, well, not really, Dad. And then he'll school me on his footwork and the things that he worked on to continue to become a better player. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, as a kid, you really don't care. But then now that I'm older, even with Kobe, Kobe was an okay jump shooter when he first came into the league. The older he got, he became a better jump shooter because I don't know if he was told that was a very important part of his game, but that his mentality was, I have to get better in this area. And I think that everyone should strive to always look for different areas within themselves to know where they're going to be working themselves at. and perfect it, not to the point of perfection, but to really have that mature mentality to say, okay, I'm great in this area now, but I still have to kind of build on it, you know. And so I think that different phases of life, you just have to do that continuously, and it's a life process. It's just a lifelong process that everybody has to go through. Even when you're anointed in something, you know, you know, even in your anointing, you still have to work through your gift. You can't just like me as an author, I can't just put my pen down and think that I can just pick the pen back up because I'm anointed in this area. No, I have to read. I have to, you know, perfect my craft through learning different words and speaking, greatness into what I'm going to read or write. Some people can do that. So I'm not saying that people can't, but if you're really truly gifted at something, you have to work your gift. And I'm a firm believer in that. I'm a firm believer in working in your gifts and in your talents.
Yeah, you definitely got to have that consistency that runs through muscle repetition and consistency, both the same. So just got to be active in doing the same thing. And the key element in that is if you're doing it today and you don't do it tomorrow, don't let doing it tomorrow mess you up from doing it the next day.
Yes.
Because it's easy to fall in that discouragement box of, dang, being too hard and too heavy on yourself. Again, worrying about tomorrow when all you got is just 24. So best you can do is, realize what's going on right now and just change it instantly. Just change
Agreed.
it instantly because it ain't no point of holding on to that nonsense and garbage. It is no point of holding on to emotions of someone that has wronged you or damaged you or made you feel some type of way. There's no need to hold on to you getting fired or you don't have any money. There's no need for you to hold on to any of those things that bring your whole emotional balance to a numbness. I
Mm-hmm.
guess it's things you just have to let go. And holding on to those things will handicap your lifestyle. And there's a lot of handicapped people walking around without the sticker, so you don't know if they're handicapped or not because there's no
Mm-hmm.
there's no tag to show you I'm bruised, I'm emotion, I'm
Mm-hmm.
bothered. And it's another thing, is it a bad thing to tell somebody about your emotions and and what be going on? But truth be told, we've been telling people about emotions all the time. Like, are we not talking to our friends and coworkers and other people that we run into of random situations and things that happen to you? You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
we're in therapy sessions all the time. We're not even realizing we just haven't been isolated to sit down on a one-on-one to really get what we getting out. And then some people don't talk at all. They just lash, meaning they need to do a full action and cause some real pain and trauma to get that back. Like, they say hurt people, but you know, I, people hurt people.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
you don't even have to be hurt to hurt. Like, you could just be, in the greatest of moods and just slap fire out somebody. You know what I'm saying? And that just felt amazing. You like, wait a minute, he's literally he getting all palm. Did you hear that smack? And like he enjoyed it. Like, what's going on
Yeah,
with y'all? Get your boy. He
yeah, man.
getting off
That
the street. Like, yo, like
that they Nate Robinson real quick. Wow, just knocked out, gone.
man, but in that Nate Robinson situation, the great thing about that is he stepped up to the challenge of doing something that he's not used to. So if you used to working at Burger King, McDonald's, Taco Bell, fast food chains all your life, and then all of a sudden you go work for GM, it might be a little difficult for you to be on that assembly line because all you used to is food and beverage.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you've became team leader at GM, it shows your growth to be able to learn something new and move forward.
Mm-hmm.
But just because you broke some type of machine at GM don't necessarily mean you're not cut out for GM. So Nate Robinson getting basically TKO'd, you know what I'm saying? don't mean he can't box, but he stepped up to the challenge to be able to box. You see what I'm saying? Now, how many challenges have you stepped up to say, you know what, I'm gonna take that down, I'm gonna knock that out. You know what I'm saying? So again, we like to sit here and talk about the jokes and the funny thing, but really, what's funny, bro? He really could have been paralyzed or died.
Mm-hmm.
You know, any fight that could happen, right? Anything like that. That's the risk. That
Yeah, it has happened. It has
you
happened in the
almost
ring.
died
Yeah.
on the basketball court, football field. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's it could happen. That's just what comes along with that. But you don't expect that, and you're not trying to see that. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
just want to see a good, clean, competitive match. But what is it about the violence that humans like so much, man? We just like to see somebody fight and get it on. But if somebody was at you like that, it's not looked at the same. Again, like I said, when it come to your doorstep, you look at it a little different. You know what I'm saying? The neighbor
Yeah.
house getting shot up versus your house getting shot up. It's like, wait a minute, man. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, what did I do? You know, nothing. They just shot your house up too. You like,
Mm-hmm.
whoa, we about to move out of here. Oh, they put a little fear in you, huh, to move out. No, it ain't about fear. It's about just being mindful of your surroundings, and you just sometimes you just know. God just let you know when it's time to go. Okay. So
Exactly. Yep.
yeah, okay. So
Exactly.
all right. So I mean he wasn't trying to tell you all them other times, but you got it now though, huh? Like, all
Yeah.
right. That took a couple windows being broken out for you to realize, you know what, I probably should have been gone. Like, yeah, don't you think? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
But it's weird because a lot of people, grandmas and stuff, still live and still hold it down and still got some of the same houses we used to visit in the 80s and the 90s, dog. You feel me? So it's like,
Man,
damn,
yeah,
his
man.
grandma still holding it down and still there. It's like, damn, so why couldn't I really still be there? But ain't even about that, man. It's just some people really are just used to their surroundings and where they at. Man, they just cool with it. Like, just let me have my spot and I'm cool. And y'all go do y'all. Like, what I did in my life, I set y'all up. I'm
Yeah.
cool. So y'all go do whatever, and I'm happy for you. You know what I'm saying? Grandma be
Mm-hmm.
happy for you, but grandma be chilling. Cause
Mm-hmm.
grandma ain't doing much, you know what I'm saying? And you got some other grandmas that dip with the kids. Like, you know, we out. This is a family picture. Like, you're not leaving me here or put me in a group home. Like, we out, y'all got to figure it out. But grandma coming, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know. So tell me about Payless, man. What's that's about?
Oh man. So I'll tell you what. Payless is literally about a mother who has to literally be choose between God and the streets. And the vision for me actually came. I was. It's the funniest story ever. Every time I tell this story, they look at me like, "Really? For real?"
Yeah.
Dog, I was in the shower. I kid you not. This is a true story. I was in the shower, and this is when we had just moved into our crib. We moved into our house. I always wanted to write a book. I want to give a really big rest in peace to Eric Jerome Dickey. Um, he literally is one of my heroes and one of the reasons why I wanted to become an author. But yeah, I was in the shower, just chilling, just take a normal shower, whatever. Dude, guy was like, "You gonna write me a book?" What? Okay, sure, sounds good. Okay. He was like, "No, I'm serious. You're actually gonna write a actual book," and I'm like, "Okay, God, fine, whatever. Okay." Dude, God would not leave me alone about this doggone book. Like every time I went to sleep, God was like, "You're gonna write me this book," and I'm like, "Okay, obviously, okay, okay, I'm gonna write a book." So what happened was, and it is, it's not a true story, but it's actually inspired by events that I've seen other people go through, and it's about how simply paying attention can cost. Not paying attention can, not paying attention can cost you pretty much. And it's a mother who has three children, back to back to back, stair steps, and she has one side of her life, she's a God-fearing servant. Then there's the other side of her life where she's serving the streets. And a decision that she makes is going to cost her on both sides of the spectrum. And you have to figure out which side that she feeds more. Is it going to be God or is it going to be the streets? And it's so many different stories in between this one particular story that I think everyone can relate to. And by the way, for those who are going to listen, no, this is not just a Christian book. Because I get asked that question all the time. Well, is it just a book for Christians? No, it actually is a book for everybody because everybody is a parent at some point. And there's certain decisions you make as a parent that may that you may make certain mistakes that you make, rather, whether you may miss something. Everyone has a blind spot. But how many times do you miss this one blind spot where it actually costs you? And that's exactly what the main character, the main antagonist, deals with throughout this entire book. And it's an awesome read. It's my fourth child. I've taken this on as my fourth child. So, but no, it's a very informative book. And I think that those who are going to read it will enjoy it. And I think that the great thing about this book also is not only is it relatable, but you read some books and you're just like, okay, I can't really follow because of the verbiage, or I wanted to make it as simplistic as possible for everyone. It's for everyone to read. No, it is not a child's book. This is not a book for children. This is a book for adults, or for I say for young teens and to adults. But that's the main gist of the book. That's the main gist of the book.
So, with all that being said, man, how did you come up with the different type of ins and outs throughout the book to get people to stay interested in the book and keep reading and to kind of want more, man?
So I did something that I'm gonna be doing throughout my career as an author. I actually took every single character and I made a little bio about every single character before I actually started the book. That way, once I started the process of writing, it gives you a full idea of what each and every character in the book is like, their personality traits, their likes and dislikes, their do's and don'ts, things they find annoying, things they love, things they hate. And excuse me, that intrigue with doing a character bio um, allows readers to see the characters through the lens of themselves, not through the author's lens, but through the actual character. I wanted the book and the characters to be just primarily focused on the characters themselves, and so that's my way of making sure that I keep readers intrigued and making them feel like, oh, I can see myself in that person, or I can't see myself doing that, but I know somebody else who done something like that. So
Yeah, just a compare and contrast kind of thing to give them like no, a real life scenario, but it wasn't me. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Just playing it out. Oh, that's a good thing, man. So what made you get into writing besides God telling you in the shower? Was it something that you felt before, or was just that moment when God told you, like, no, dog, you about to write?
Well, I've always wrote short stories. In high
Okay.
school, that was actually my niche. Um, I wasn't one of the popular kids in school like that. Like, I knew people knew me, but I wasn't like the person that chilled with everybody. I was I was pretty much to
Right.
myself, except for my core friends that I had. But one of the things that people knew about me is I always loved to write, man. I'm gonna tell you what sparked me into to getting into writing was actually a few things. I mentioned Eric Jerome Dickey earlier. Omar Tyree is my all-time favorite author. That's my man's, and shout out to him. Um, Fly Girl, and then of course the coldest winter ever by Sister Soldier. That is like those are my two favorite books ever. And just reading those books and gaining inspiration and just seeing like stories from African Americans, man, I was just hooked. And like I said, I always wanted to write a book. I just didn't know how to go about doing it. Um, and again, the short stories. I think I still even have my short stories around here stored somewhere. But before then, it went from that in high school writing short stories into actually doing poetry. I still do poetry. I did a couple of performances with some dear friends of mine, and then it went from poetry to just diving right on in full time to becoming an author. Which I'm hoping and praying that I can actually do that full time instead of uh, my current job now, which is being a bartender, which is again whatever you got to do to take care of your family. But that's how it came about. Just being inspired by other people, and I always wanted to become an author. That's always been a dream of mine.
Oh, that's real good, man. Even when you was at Summerfield and playing around on the elementary playground, man, you feel like you was gonna be the author. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. well, at that time, I thought I was gonna be a baseball player, and I actually did. True story. I actually played baseball for years, for leagues around the city,
Yeah,
until I stopped
right.
abruptly. But but being an author was something I always wanted to do. That DJing, those are my two things. But author is always gonna be number one thing
I
that I
knew I was
always
gonna
want to
be
do.
involved with music somehow. From trying to play instruments, trying to go to bandorama, and trying to do all that, but never fully went all the way through. Like even with the piano lesson class, like was
Mhm.
never a all the way through type thing. Like it was just all right. You got a class or two, but it was never taken all the way to the max.
Mhm.
Like it should have been. Like by now, I should be on some Alicia Keys type. You know what I'm saying? Playing with my eyes closed, Stevie Wonder style.
Yeah.
But it always used to try to hear notes and playing by ear, but never could get the chords and everything right because I didn't sit down and grind myself into that. But can sit here and now I got beats I've made 10 years ago. Now I got a podcast. Now I've graduated with a audio engineering degree and went to the Art Institute of Philadelphia thinking that I want to make movies and stuff, and how this is a visual right now of the same type of stuff. So
Mhm.
I mean, it's all in the entertainment type field. So I guess entertainment technology was definitely something I was going to be a part of because I was
Mhm.
even on computers heavy in elementary school when I used to sit in the fourth, fifth grade, try to play on the computers with the floppy disk, playing the Oregon Trail, just trying to be over there trying to play with something. And you
Yeah.
never really could play all the way because the teachers wouldn't really let you loose. Yeah, you just don't break nothing. It was still like a don't break nothing energy going on. You remember back, what I'm saying? Hey, whenever somebody got that new computer, a scanner, or TV, hey, don't touch that. You go break it. Don't
Mhm.
change the channel too many times. You go break the TV. Ain't been no real conclusion to any of that, but that's what our parents and stuff used to say. Like, basically, leave that alone. But now all of a sudden, it's kind of crazy how our parents is asking us for the sauce now because now technology has definitely changed in our favor. And now, hey, again, 4K TVs versus a TV sitting on the floor, you obviously seeing things different. Things
Mhm.
are being shot different. So the whole climate of what we're watching is an illusion before your eyes. You don't even know if you're watching what you think you watch.
Right. That is a
you,
fact.
you know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
it's last Wednesday, so you know what I'm saying?
right.
What are we watching there? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Man, so tell me about your podcast, man. What's your podcast about?
All right. So y'all have no idea podcast. You can find them on all platforms. Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. You can find them Stitcher. Of course, Anchor is what we go through. Apple Podcasts. Basically, it's literally current events. And it's the format is you really don't know what topic we're going to talk about at whatever time. We can just come with something out of left field. And it's shout out to Shavandra Hamilton Bunch. That's my co-host. That's my dog. We've known each other for a long time, man. We are literally like brother and sister. We bicker like siblings. She gets on my last nerves, and I know I get on hers, but it's a respectability there. But we literally we're two diehard Michigan Wolverines fans, and we talk about Michigan Wolverines sports a lot
Oh
because
man,
we're disgruntled right now, especially with Michigan football. Don't even get me started. But
I had my fit on yesterday, but
oh
they put
gosh,
on Wisconsin was pretty cool.
yes. So, but that's our podcast. We cover everything: sports, politics, news, entertainment, music. We cover everything, and it's a dope podcast. Y'all go check it out. And actually, it's funny because yesterday we were working on getting our social media platforms up, even though we've been around for quite a long time. We started in 2018, and with kids, and she has four, I have three, and the amount of the things that I do outside of what we're doing now. I do a million things, but we finally was able to actually get our social media pages up. So now we actually have our own y'all have no idea Twitter page and Instagram page, and we're
Yeah,
gonna be try to work on some other things. Where if we continue this thing, we're gonna work on a Patreon. We already talked about it, so we have a lot of things that we're gonna be doing in the next in the upcoming year. But that is our podcast again. Y'all have no idea podcast. Hashtag y'all have no idea podcast. Y'all go ahead and check that thing on out and find us and let us know what y'all think.
y'all have no idea how we just think different, man. It's just a combination that just flows right like that,
I like that. I like that.
That's cool, man. And you say you've been doing it since 2018, man. So you got it right when you finalized the crib, right? And you just say y'all bought the crib in 2018 and moved down
Yes.
there for 14. So yeah, it took about 3-4 years, you know what I'm saying, for everything to get locked in. But no, 2015. So it took a couple
Mhm.
years for everything to get locked in, but it did. You're still there, you're still in Charlotte. You been to any Bobcats games, man? You going to Panthers games? No.
It's, actually, we've been to we went to a Charlotte Hornets game. Actually, it was a couple years ago. It was Kimba's last season,
Okay.
and it was the final game of his tenure with the Hornets. And it just so happened that game was that was the year that the Raptors won the championship, and it just so happened that if the Hornets needed the Celt. I think who did they need to? I know they needed somebody to lose that game in order for them to make the playoffs. Hornets won off of a last second three. I can't remember who shot the three. I know Kimba was involved, but it was a great game. It was a great atmosphere. We loved it. This was pre-COVID, so. But I've been to a Hornets game, and then last year we went to a preseason Panthers game against the Steelers,
Mm.
and it was the last preseason game, so we got a chance to see Ben play. We got a chance to see Cam play before he was let go. And that also was a great game, great atmosphere. So we've done a few things down here.
Yeah. You been to Elevation?
Yes, and I'm glad that you asked. That is actually the church we attend.
Oh, I'm about to ask. Okay, cool.
That's the church we attend.
That's the big boy, huh? Man, do you actually like Elevation, man? How is it, man?
We love it. We absolutely love it, and so we been a part of the church since 2016, I believe. We were going for like a year, and we were trying to really see where God wanted to lead us as far as where we were going to go to church. We visited a couple other churches. I'm not going to name those other churches because they weren't really good experiences. Um, and we ended up we kept coming back to Elevation. And so one Sunday, we just decided, you know what, we're gonna just join, and we signed up to volunteer, and we've been there ever since, 5 years now, and we love it. And the great thing about it is it's not a traditional church in the sense of how we view church. It's very non-traditional, but it's all different backgrounds, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, um, um, Filipinos. Oh my God, it's so many different backgrounds just coming together to worship Christ. And no, the church isn't perfect. I don't want to project like any church is perfect, but we love it, man. Our kids really love it, and the greatest thing about the church to me is their children's ministry. My son, more than anybody, has benefited from being a part of um, Elevation. He's grown so much. He's very, very mature for his age. He's 17, but you would think that he was in his 20s already, the way that he carries himself as a young man. And so it really helped him. And then my daughters, they also love it. And we've made a lot of friends down here, which was one of the things that me and my wife struggled with when we first moved down here, because we moved down here and didn't know a single solitary soul.
Hmm.
And so for us to have the friendships that we have because of the church and because of the people that we've met, it's been great, man. And the church is awesome. 20 campuses. And Pastor Stephen Furtick is amazing. So we love it. We really do.
You met him and chopped it up with him personally, or no?
I met him one time, and it was one time he actually came to the campus we attend, Matthews. They were celebrating, how many years was it? Was it 13, 14 years? And we actually got a chance to meet him, and we spoke. I mean, it was brief, but we did speak, and
Yeah.
very, very, very nice guy.
So the campus that he's at, how far is that, guys? How far is that from the campus that you attend?
Actually, not far. It may be, I want to say, maybe about 10 to 15 minutes away
So he
from where
doesn't preach
we.
at all the campuses.
No, so how he does it is he preaches at his base campus, which is Ballantyne. That's his base campus, and it's broadcasted live throughout the other campuses.
Yeah.
So everyone literally watches him preach at the same exact time. It's all plugged in. I don't know how they do it.
Right.
It's quite amazing, but yes, that's how they do it. That's how they do it, and like I said, it's on projector screens, so everybody worships at the same time. It's just, again, it's just different campuses. So again, it's a lot different than your traditional church that everyone else is used to.
I was attending a church in Detroit that was similar like that. The pastor would go to multiple campuses, and he would preach at all of them except the Flint campus, and he still does it to today, man. He's been doing it since
Wow.
I've known him. Yeah, Pastor Ken Locke of Triumph Church, man. They've been
Ah.
Beltway, man. That's the spiritual Beltway, and it was cool. I liked it, or liked it, liked it. I've been doing that since a kid, man. Liked it,
I liked it. Just like patty cakes.
man,
Like, no, it's pancakes, but to us it's patty cakes.
man. But no, church, how I see church now versus how I seen church as a kid is two different things, and how I see church more recently than what I did over the last 10 years is different as well. Because I've been to a couple of big mega churches, and when you go to these churches, you first of all, and also I've seen Tim Stories, Kurt Franklin, Juanita Bynum. I'm seeing these people in person. I met Juanita Bynum in person, and all this stuff was done when I was a kid. So I'm seeing all these big names as a kid, and seeing all this stuff, and you seeing adults and stuff doing everything.
Mhm.
You might not have a clear understanding on what's really going on, but you got interest in it, or whatnot. And then you looking at your lifestyle versus this building that you go on to, and everybody talking about God, and you go home like, how is this so? And what is going on? You know what I'm saying? A confused mind. And
Mhm.
you know what? There is better, because there are some things and testimonies that you do see as a kid. You like, oh, whoa, So okay, keep that in mind, keep that plugged in, and as you go forward, you realize like church is a business, and it's a real
Mhm.
business technically because it's a building and an establishment that has to keep running. However, the real church is two or three or more talking about Jesus and God coming together
Mhm.
to talk about His name and speak that gospel. So there's different levels of different things that's going on, and somehow people feel like the church, the building church, is somehow responsible for the community of the city that it's in because it's a church and it's the people that go, but the people are responsible for the people. People are responsible for their communities because they live in them. It's not somebody jumping out the sky saying, here's your piece of this, here's your piece of that. Like, we are human beings who should be held accountable and responsible to take care of what we have in our own possession. So
Mhm.
when you see how that works, and then you see how tithes and offering works when you give 10%. And by the way, tithes and offering. So yeah, tithe is the 10%, but people miss the other
Oh,
part,
they missed the offering part.
which is like whatever it is off the tithes, which means, so okay, great, you got $100 and 10% of $100 is $10. So now your offering could be 1001.
Mhm.
Could have gave a penny, could have gave 10 more dollars, could have gave $100, is whatever that you feel. But also be mindful is that that's gonna come back around. And I ain't talking about just because you put $100 in church now, you finna get $100 next week extra on your check. I'm saying it's an emotional feeling in here that's built in faith that God knows of how humble of a servant that you really are and you really being, and then He rewards that later on.
Mhm.
The problem comes from when I give my quote unquote hard on money, hard work for money to an establishment, and I see you riding around in planes, different cars and stuff, and different things that a building is not getting met. So now I want to blame you for
Mhm.
taking my money, using it wrongly, when that ain't your problem either, because your thing is between your finances and God. So once you released your finances, that ain't no longer your concern. Okay, you've already tightened your stuff up with God. So now you trying to worry about another situation that has nothing to do with you. What does have something to do with you is, treating your neighbor right and treating everybody with the most due honor and respect, and to, gain more love and to spread more word is your job
Mhm.
personally as a church goer, you know,
Mhm.
to do those things. Also, to be involved in church, to be a part of different ministries in church, because God will use you to speak word and get your message across. So you have to speak to people in their language.
Mhm.
The view of church currently ain't what we grew up on. It ain't
Mhm.
the robe. It ain't the stand up and read about the books. It ain't the whole visual aspect of it has literally changed now to the point to where you just go to church, you just might just get the praise and worship, and then the word, tithes, and offering, and you gone.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? You forgot about
Mhm.
the church announcements. That's probably ran by video now, where you reading it on the screen, or it might be a specific message that they might tell you in the meantime. But for the most part, it's just what that is. You get the praise and worship, and then you're gonna get the word, and we out of here. And
Mhm.
depending on that, like, I live between three churches. There's a church right at my back door. There's a church down the street and a church down the street. Two of the three churches are bigger than life churches. You know what I'm saying? One of them, the parking lot, if you pull it up on the map, is look like the Genesee Valley. You know what I'm saying?
Jeez.
Yeah, it's pretty big. That
Yeah.
might have been a little bit exaggeration, but it's big.
Mhm.
And the other one is like, the size of, just the Sears parking lot. You're like, well, dang, that's still bigger than the regular lot that we grew up going
Mhm.
through. So when you see these things and you go in there, there ain't that many black people in there, and there's predominantly white people in there and other races in there. make me feel no certain way or type of way about it. Because I know the mindset that I'm going into, but it's also cool to see other people talk about God too. And now you can see their version of it versus of what you've been doing, and they all come
Mhm.
together to be the same thing. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But also see how other people praise and worship different, and it don't have nothing to do with what they doing. And it still comes
Right.
down to what you doing personally, in your personal relationship with God. And so many times we try to blame, you know, uh, again, the church and the people of the church for the problems of the church, when some of that is true. The people of the church are the problem because the people are the problem because people gossip, people run their mouth, people
Mhm.
come in with bad attitudes, people do a lot of things because naturally human beings, we don't care. And then we
Yeah.
think that because we going into this church service, all some holier than thou, like you go into the church service and then leave and then get to cussing people out. You feel me? So it's like,
Yeah. Yeah. And church is a lot different now. Matter of fact, I'll even say this. Um, Even the church that we go to is a lot different. So um, yeah, it's just way different. Way different. Yep, I see you. I'll wait till you get back. We can chop it up about that.
had to handle something real quick.
No worries. No worries. So yeah, we're so my thing is about how I grew up. I went to a good sized church when I was younger. New Jerusalem. That's where my grandmother went to church, and she used to take all her grandkids, all her grandbabies, and take them to church. And so, it was the typical, it was the typical church. People running around and catching the Holy Ghost, and you had the devotions and everything, how the structure of the church, and so that's what we grew up on. And so, pretty much, how I view church now is exactly what you said. Look, I don't blame the church for everything. I don't see the thing about it now, and I think I hope people understand that you cannot expect even the church to be perfect. And I think that people look at church to be perfect all the time, 24/7, 365. And that's just not reality. I mean, churches in the Bible wasn't even perfect. So you
Right.
can't really look at church here on earth as being perfect. And yes, is it things about the church that I don't understand, I don't like? No, and being quite honest with you, I'm not supposed to. But at the same time, you know, it's all about growth in Christ. And how do you get there? Well, it's steps in your journey to um learning about Christ and learning about his love. And if you look all throughout the Bible, some of them steps that you took when it comes to getting there were not easy steps. I mean, you had people that had to leave homelands in order to get to the next level. You had people that had to slay giants to get to the next level. I mean, it's story after story after story, but none of those stories were about perfection. None of them. So when it comes to if the church does something you may not like, you have to understand. Well, again, the church is not perfect, and I don't have that mentality. Um, and I hope that if someone has any questions about the church and how they may view church, I hope that gets rectified in their spirit. But I'm just a firm believer that the church is not going to be perfect ever, and you can't walk into a church expecting it to be perfect. Expect to be healed, yes, but expect to be perfect, no.
Right. And I don't feel like you shouldn't have no expectation other than to expect God to show up. That's what you want to expect. You expect to see God where you go. I guess when you walk in there and you don't know what that look like or what that feel like, so as soon as you go in there and you see things that you may think are shenanigans, you like, this ain't it. We got to roll. So now you still running and seeking, but you haven't sought on your own to have discernment when you run into situations like that. You
Mm-hmm.
just immediately see it and just be like, nah, we got to roll. Got to roll. This ain't it. When really that could have been it. And it was just a test for you to see if you was gonna get what you needed to get, but you ran out on it.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, again, it's still just human beings being accountable for their actions and what we do, and we do a lot of backsliding and hiding, and it's been going on forever, man. It's been going on for
Mm-hmm.
years. But the minute that you more clean and you can be honest and upfront and truthful with people, the better your outcome will be in life, because you at least honest and truthful with people and uh being the most authentic form of human you can be.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people out here lie and cap or do whatever you want to call it nowadays, but basically do things just for attention gain. Essentially
Mm-hmm.
what it is, what it come down to, hey, look at me. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But we live in the world of a camera, so everybody can be looked at. But
Mm-hmm.
now you want to be viewed. So you going beyond a look to a view. You want them views to add up. So view me is what you really saying. And you want to go viral. So what could happen? You live 15 minutes. Okay, you got 15. Now what you doing with it? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You asking for some stock money or some IPOs to get involved with or something? Like what's going on? Like how you building it? Again, we all concerned about that dollar, which is understandable to be
Mm-hmm.
concerned about finances. But not to overwork yourself being concerned about those finances is the thing. Again, God wants you to rely on him and come holler at him and seek him for financial gain, not trying to figure it out yourself like, oh, somebody just called right now and he got a deal. Say if I ride with him, they go give me 5,000 just for riding in the car, but the car got XYZ in it. But all I gotta do is ride. So I'm just a quick 5. So you take that and it got jammed up. But I thought that was God saying take the 5. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
But it could have been God trying you about the 5.
Right.
Yeah. Everything that go wrong ain't the devil.
Yeah.
The big
For sure.
of things too. Like the devil ain't hitting you with everything, dog. Is God testing you with a lot of stuff too. And we fail a lot of times again because of, keep saying it, the ego is a powerful thing. And people gotta learn to let that go, man. So
Mm-hmm.
like I said, man, I appreciate you for coming by here and rocking with me, man. Is there anything you want to let the people know and lead the people with?
Sure, man. Just again, y'all have no idea podcast. Hit us up all social media platforms, all podcast platforms, and also Payless is available on any online bookstore, Archway, Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Books a Million. You can go iBooks, Google Books, anything that's a book, anywhere you can find books, you can go definitely find a book there. But man, I appreciate it, man. It's an honor and a blessing, man. I'm very grateful to be on this platform with you. And I really thank you for having me on, man. It's been a pleasure.
Oh man, I appreciate you coming, man. I'm gonna lead us in a prayer and then we go get out of here.
No doubt.
Uh, God, I thank you for waking us up this morning. I thank you for allowing your will to be done over our lives. I just ask that you would just touch me and Skylar and the people that are going to hear this podcast and the people that are going to view this podcast. I just ask that you would just strengthen their immune system, strengthen their mindsets, strengthen their bodies. I ask that you would just heal the ones that need to be healed. I ask that you would just strengthen their finances, Lord. I ask that you would just give them discernment. I declare and decree in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen, my brother.
All
Amen.
right, man. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you for the invitation, man. Thank you.
Thank you. And once again, this is the I Just Think Different podcast, the I Just Think Different podcast. And you can find me on all these streaming services over here at the top, as you can see. And you can subscribe, boom, right there to all those spots to the YouTube page. Definitely subscribe to and follow us on Instagram and Facebook, man. We appreciate your views. We appreciate your comments and thumbs up. And I hope everybody has a blessed evening and y'all enjoy the rest of the week. Peace.